Well, we're back on the Atkins Logistics route number 2. You joined me just having restarted the video. We're still on the B5250, just at Hunger Hill, so it's only about 200 metres on from where I had to stop the video. Roadworks have caused a bit of congestion because the signals are not working correctly. So that's why there's a queue of traffic on this road. This would normally be the case because there is a school on the right, and at school times there will be obviously busy traffic with children being picked up and dropped off. But this is pretty unusual, I have to say. Apologies for the noise of the wipers also. Right, so the traffic's gone. This is a 30-mile-an-hour limit. You can see we've got residential properties either side of the road. The road is pretty wide. But nevertheless, you can see just ahead we have parking on the main road, which are personal transports, so people do stop and just drop in and call in. It's that sort of place. So I'm travelling at 30 miles an hour, still on the B5250, and we won't be much out of residential property now for the rest of the time here. So there's a sharp right-hand bend coming up just ahead. There's a series of bends here which follow around the old roadway, maximum speed of 20, but slow indications on the road. Of course, not allowed to overtake on these stretches, although some people are tempted to do so. Line bends as well, so just one in quick succession. Sharp left-hand bend coming up here, which should finish that series of turns, and then we come into Mossy Lee. Of course, we've got a speed camera here just to double check that you're doing 30 miles an hour or through here. And of course, this is still residential. There's some industrial units on the left, which see it's a grain and business merchants. Still wide enough to take HGVs, but still parking on the side of the roads through here also. Just coming up ahead where you can see there's a van just parked on the right on the pavement and a car. There's a small school here, primary school, Mossy Lee. And again, people do pick up and drop off here. We're still in a 30, even though we are in a semi-rural location. Sharp right-hand bend indicated here, with chevrons on a sign. Now coming into Wrightington, and of course this is still a 30-mile-an-hour limit. We haven't gone out of it, but you are reminded all the way along here. Again, in Wrightingham, as in Mossy Lee, and all along the length of this road, parking on the side of the road, half on the curb, half on the roadway, is pretty common. Like this one here, on the left. Bus stops all the way along too. So the roadway, yes, is certainly wide enough to take HGVs, there's no doubt about that. But of course, parking half on and half off creates its own risks and restrictions and hazards. So we do have to, that's why we have a 30-mile-an-hour limit, because it is fairly common here. Parking on the left looks like somebody's having some building work done. And now we're into a short stretch of 40 miles an hour, so pick up a bit of speed. No residential properties here, so that's why we have an increase in the speed limit. of parking on the left hand side as we approach, car coming out from the right on the junction, so this is a tricky area to drive through. Deliveries, people working on properties. Yeah, if we'd have met that HGV there, we'd have had to wait or stop for it to pass. So again, we are still in a 30 here, we've not left it. Warning of double bends coming up here with an indicator, right hand indicator, chevrons, 2 chevron signs in the hedge. Sharp bend brings us round. Farmer's Arms is up ahead on the right. Young cyclist on the left. Slow indications on the roadway as we bear left in a big curve to the left, and it sharpens up quite steeply there. Another HGV just on the line. Obviously wants a bit more road than he's entitled to. And again, parking on the left hand side. Cars, vans, these are people visiting friends and family. It's that sort of pace. And the villages tend to run one into each other all the way from Hunger Hill to Mossy Lee, Wrightington, Heskin, and Heskin Hall just on the left here. We're just moving out of Heskin slowly. This is on the outer limits of it. We do still have residential properties on the right and properties in the dip on the right. But again, we still have parking on the road. But at least it is clear to see things up ahead. The only issue is in blind bends. Now we are drifting out of Heskin into Eccleston. So we'll start to see more residential property and a build-up from semi-rural into an urban environment. Speed camera up ahead because we are still doing 30. So they want to check that you are still following the speed restriction. Lots of new properties gone up on the outside of Eccleston. Old industrial sites. Particularly narrow through this stretch where it's traditional mid-Victorian workers' houses. Used to be a linen mill down in the dip. So now we're coming into Eccleston proper. Parking on the right hand side, so it's a bit narrower here for HGVs to negotiate, but nevertheless still possible. Large horse box. There are lots of constrictions to Eccleston to try and change people's driving behaviours, because the main stretch through Eccleston, as you'll see now, is a pretty straight road. So constrictions have been placed on some sides of the road to allow for parking and also to slow people's behaviours in terms of their driving speed. There's a zebra crossing here to allow access for pedestrians to the shopping area on the right where that car's just exited. It's a busy little place, and 30 miles an hour limit here too, as you can see on the signs. Again, parking still happens on the roadway. It's plenty wide enough though for you to see ahead and for HGVs to negotiate. But where there are constrictions, it proves a little more difficult. Just up here, for example, cameras on the right, parking on the left. I've got to slow down to allow vehicles to pass through because the obstruction's on my side. Another vehicle parked fully on the road, again indicating to pull out, but I would have to stop if there's a vehicle in the opposing carriageway. So very busy and still quite built up area. Parking on the left hand side, yep, can't see beyond the camper, so just slowing down to pull out. And now we come out of the straight stretch where we just starting to come out of Eccleston, starting to move to the outskirts, still quite built up, and there's lots of new property gone in here as well. Just on the left used to be an old pub, but they have built there quite significantly, and out the way out there's a farm just ahead of us on the left where the road bears to the right. Very rough nasty humpback bridge. It's a grade 2 listed, just over here, and we're turning left now into New Lane, still on the Atkins Logistics Route 2. New Lane will take us up to connect with the A581 Southport Road. Here it's up to national speed restriction. If you want to try and drive at 60, then good luck to you. But again, this is sort of just wide enough for HGVs to negotiate and speed if need be. The roadway does fall away into the verge. The tarmac has no curbage here. And this is a busy roadway for farm vehicles too. So we're just approaching the junction head for the New Lane with A581 Southport Road. Busy junction this, as you can see. We're driving through here about 10 past 2 in the afternoon. Cars parked on the right, having to slow down. There's a very busy petrol station just on the right here called Gilson's. And of course the pub across the road is the Rose and Crown. I'm going to turn left on the Atkins route, Logistics Route 2, and you'll see a sign on the right for Midge Hall and HM prisons. So we're on the A581 for a very short distance, and then we turn just up ahead here, because this is the junction head of Oldsmont Lane with the A581. Oldsmont Lane is a C-class road, it's the C195. Here we go. And again, this is sort of just as wide as New Lane, I suppose, as we go along here. But again, this is 40 miles an hour along here. It's weight restricted to 7.5 tons except for access. Plenty of signage about equestrian road users, vulnerable road users there, because there is an equestrian centre located just on the right hand side coming up, just here on the right with the blue sign. Marsh House is an elderly person's rest home, so we do have people walking as pedestrians along this road, believe it or not. And there's still, although we are in a semi-rural environment, there are still residential properties along the way, as we can see on the right. The building on the right is the old school, used for local courses. People can rent it for whatever reason they wish to. We're just approaching the bridge across the River Lostock. There is a sharp right-hand bend here on exit of this bridge. The bridge is about 6 meters in width from white line to white line, or curb to curb. There's another bend to the left, again still residential properties in a semi-rural environment. The bend sharpens, and properties fall away, but we do come back up now. We're coming up to the junction with Moss Lane. About here there's a bus stop. This is probably the narrowest part curb to curb on Oldsmont Lane that has been measured, 5.1 metres. And the turn off for Moss Lane, the visibility to the right is very poor. You see the vehicle just turning in front of us, and we're at the prison site now if we turn left. So I'm going to stop the video.